The Lubbock City Council meeting last night, and meeting did not last long for the Lubbock City Council, but they sure did spend your money in an irresponsible way. I know that doesn't shock everybody out there. The headline, under scrutiny, NELCDC gets its funding, but only a portion of it for now. City Council voted to approve funding for the North and East Lubbock Community Development Corporation. The agreement, which is for $342,465, funded from the city's mineral interest, and the organization's proposed budget were put to a vote during the council meeting on Thursday. The agreement approved, but it included an amendment motioned by Councilman Jim Geralt. Oh, thank you so much, Jim Geralt. The amendment said the grant will be made in 4 payments spread out until September 1st. It also said in the agreement that it may be terminated by either party at any time with 30 days notice. Oh, that's so good. So instead of taxpayers being totally screwed out of money, you may only get screwed a little bit at a time. That is so nice. Thank you so much, Jim Geralt. That's so responsible. Geralt said that this will ensure that the corporation gets the funds it needs now, but still gives the council time to look at the organization's recently published audits and to address some of the concerns city leaders have. Are you freaking kidding me? See, this is the problem that you have with spineless city officials. City officials who will get up there, they want to be liked by everybody. They want everybody to like them out there, like Jim Geralt, who I'm sure is a very nice man. But he doesn't know how to be responsible with other people's money. I'm sure he's very responsible with his money. I would ask Jim Geralt this. If there was, and I don't know much about his church, but let's just say you were dedicating money to the choir at the church. And the choir had been accused of, how do I put this? Spending church money on stuff they weren't supposed to be spending money on. And the church choir kept on acting irresponsibly. Leadership within the church choir was acting irresponsibly. And there were a whole bunch of audits that were missing for a time, and now they're there, and you want to go through them. Would you still give them church money immediately, or would you hold off until after an investigation? I just wonder which one Pastor Geralt would do. If he'd hand over a large chunk of church money, or if he would just wait and say, we need to review some things first before we give you some money. But when it comes to taxpayer money, here you go, guys. We want to make sure everybody likes us. We don't want to be accused of racism or anything else. And hell, I'll vote with the liberals on the city council most of the time anyway, so I might as well vote with them now. We're discussing the NELCDC that was funded yesterday. Jim Geralt, city councilman, he offered up an amendment that, the total of $342,000, it won't be all paid at once. No, we're going to separate this out into 4 payments and an installment plan for the citizens getting screwed out of their money. That's nice. You don't get screwed all at once. It's 4 installments. And the city council can stop it at any time, but with 30 days notice, because I guess now we have to let the NELCDC know 30 days out. So that way they can complain. And that way they can get Latrell Joy to get on the case. Geralt said this will ensure the corporation gets its funds that it needs now. For what? I don't know. But it gives the council time to look at the organization's recently published audits and to address some of the concerns that city leaders may have. Why don't you do that first? This shows that Jim Geralt has absolutely no business sense. And how do you know that? Because the owners of businesses voted against this yesterday. Mayor Robertson, Karen Gibson, Jeff Griffith all said no. And I'm pretty sure it's because, one of the reasons is because none of them would run their business this way. None of them would. But Jim Geralt wants to be liked by everybody, wants to show that, he's a preacher and he cares about everybody. And he wants to be liked by a lot of people. Jim Geralt votes with the Democrats more than Mike Huckabee does. And that's pretty scary. Now, Geralt goes around, says he's conservative, he's Republican, all this. But where are the votes that show that? This guy, 7 times out of 10, will vote with the far left on this city council. I mean, you have Jim Geralt basically up on the city council saying, there's a lot of questions surrounding the NELCDC. Possibly there was an employee who was using a credit card in a way they shouldn't have been that screwed the taxpayer money away. Also, there's some audits there. There's some things we need to go over. But hell, let's go ahead and give them some money anyway. We don't want to complete an investigation. We don't want the city council to ask questions first. Let's go ahead and give them some money. Because, again, it doesn't impact Jim Geralt. It's not his money. I doubt, seriously, he would run his church this way. The NELCDC, this according to the AJ, has audits completed for the past 3 years in which auditors stated they noticed transactions that never cleared bank accounts, accurate schedules of accounts receivable or payable were not maintained, record debt payments and interest expenses were not accurately recorded. Oh, okay. But let's go ahead and give them more money. Because, again, Jim, it's not your money, and it's not your church money. You just don't have a problem handing over taxpayer money. It's quite obvious. I know Jim Geralt's going to be up for re-election. I really hope there's a good challenger in his district. I don't know if he's going to run for re-election. I have no idea. I don't know why he would. I really don't. But hey, those of you who wanted to get rid of Paul Bean, at least this guy's nice. Right? That's why people voted for him. Well, he's nice. Oh, okay. That's a great reason to vote for somebody, because they're nice. Okay. I really hope somebody challenges Geralt. What I really hope is that Geralt just doesn't run again. He might be the most frustrating council member. And here's why I say this. With Victor Hernandez, you know exactly what you're going to get. Victor doesn't lie to people. Well, Victor doesn't mask that he's a far left liberal. You know exactly what you're going to get. Floyd, I kind of like Floyd. I disagree with his politics, but Floyd's a nice guy. He doesn't rock the boat too much. Latrell, hell, you know what you're getting with Latrell Joy. With Jim Geralt, he goes around and he acts like he's conservative. Or at least a moderate, but he's not. It's like Mike Huckabee. Mike Huckabee talks a great game. Mike Huckabee talks about loving Jesus. Mike Huckabee talks about hating gay marriage. Mike Huckabee talks about abortion. But then Mike Huckabee raises taxes on everyone in Arkansas when he was governor. He was a more liberal governor than Bill Clinton was, at least fiscally. Jim Geralt's Mike Huckabee. You really think Jim Geralt would treat his church the way that he's treating the taxpayers right now? I don't. I pray he doesn't. That would not be good for his church. He voted yesterday, again with the liberal wing of the council, to fund a corrupt organization, or at least an alleged corrupt organization, that, as the mayor says, has done nothing. Well, let me rephrase that. They have wasted taxpayer money. That is something they have done. I can't justify the expense for the taxpayers, that money going to the NELCDC. You can't justify that. I don't know what it is with Jim Geralt. Maybe he is liberal. I don't know. Maybe he really does just want to really, really, really be liked by somebody. Maybe he doesn't want to be accused of being racist. Because if you're not for the NELCDC, you're going to be accused of being racist. So maybe he just doesn't want that. I don't know what it is. But I was hoping Jim Geralt would turn out to be at least a decent councilman. I'm happy that, look, after some convincing and after people turned up at City Hall, I am so happy that Jim Geralt listened to the people when it came to the smoking ban. But come on, look at the other votes and look at this. This is a slap in the face to taxpayers. This is a slap in the face to the people he represents. So what are you going to do about it? Election time isn't too far away. You're going to find somebody else. You're going to find someone who's really going to represent some conservative values that are out there in Lubbock. Paul Bean was mean. He mean people. He had an attitude. Okay. Well, now you saw what the nice guy brought. Don't you kind of wish you had someone a little more conservative up there? Who, instead of saying we're going to screw the taxpayers and installment plans, would just put his foot down, like the more conservative members of the council did, the business owners, those who would not run their business in the way that Jim Geralt helps run the city council. Those who put their foot down said, no, we need to investigate this further. We need to go at least through the audits. We need to look at all of this before we hand over one penny to the NELCDC. I don't know about you. I'm a little bit frustrated with Jim Geralt and the game that he plays. I think it's time for some new leadership up there. Go to the phones, and Michael.
You're on quite a tear. I don't need to add much to it. But I just wanted to tell you that if there wasn't a problem with all of their financials, that would still be a reason not to continue funding this. Yeah. They're getting, this year, if they give them all the money, they're asking for $100,000 more over last year, and practically all of it goes to administration and overhead and salaries and car allowance and food and bits and pieces. There's nothing left for projects in North and East Lubbock. And an audit in 2010-11, and of course, a lot of this Monique had nothing to do with. She may be a great person. If so, they need to hire her in the community development department and save all of that overhead, and that's what I spoke to last night. But an audit in 2010-11, I'll quote, it says, this will ultimately cause sufficient errors in the financial records and financial statements, as well as allow possible irregularities, including fraud, to exist and continue without notice. Yeah. So there was somebody in charge through there long before Monique came who did not handle the finances well. In fact, back in 06 and 7 and 8, when they finally quit funding it council before just said, you've wasted everything we've given you, go away. And they told them that in the audits back then, they said, you haven't given, or management hasn't given us enough information financially to even do an audit. But they are dead broke. They're insolvent. They've been borrowing money to keep paying the salaries and the overhead over there for the last few months. Yeah,
and what have they done? What have they brought to North and East Lubbock? I mean, there's no victories.
It's just that this all goes into overhead, and when you say anything about it, it's like you don't want any good projects to happen over there, and that's exactly the opposite. Yeah. But the community development department has exactly the same mission as this does, and it's just an overlap, and here again, it takes all the money out of the general fund. This wasn't just money set aside. It came out of the mineral money that goes into the general fund where it should be. Yeah. And then if a nonprofit wants to come bring a project to community development, there's a process to get those funded, and it wouldn't be a problem. Yeah. But otherwise, I've been following it since it began, and it had a good plan. But it was supposed to be completely self-sufficient after 4 years.
Michael, I got to get going. Appreciate it. I know.
Appreciate you. Bye-bye.
Have a good one. It does not surprise me that Victor Hernandez, Floyd Price, and Latrell Joy, especially Latrell Joy, does not surprise me that they voted for this. And it shouldn't surprise me any more than Jim Grolt does. I mean, we can basically assume that if it is a lefty proposal, Jim Grolt's going to go for it. I mean, that's what we are seeing right now in Lubbock City Council, is that even the good business owners on the council, they can't sway Jim Grolt. And, what he should be asking himself is, would I allow a department in the church, whatever, would I allow them to do this? That's what he could have asked himself yesterday.